The cold January wind swept through the narrow streets of Lancashire, carrying with it the weight of Emma Thompson's worries. At 28, she stood by the small kitchen window, watching frost gather on the window pane, while her 5-year-old daughter Lily slept peacefully in the next room. Emma's hands were rough from years of hard work. Once a skilled textile worker, she had lost her job at the local factory 3 months ago. The redundancy had hit her like a sudden storm, washing away the little stability she had managed to build. Her rent was 2 months behind, and the electricity bill sat unopened on the kitchen table, a silent reminder of her mounting challenges. The tiny cottage felt both her sanctuary and her prison. Peeling wallpaper and creaky floorboards told stories of struggles past. Emma's mother had lived in this same cottage, and now Emma was continuing that legacy of survival, but with less certainty and more fear. Every morning she would wake before dawn. Her routine was precise and purposeful. First, she'd prepare a simple breakfast of toast and tea for Lily. Then she'd carefully mend Lily's school clothes, her skilled fingers patching worn-out knees and reinforcing fraying edges. Her sewing skills, once a source of pride in the textile factory, now became a means of survival. The job market was brutal. Each application felt like throwing a message in a bottle into a vast, indifferent ocean. Rejection letters accumulated in a worn cardboard box under her bed. But Emma refused to let despair consume her. She knew Lily was watching, learning, absorbing every moment of her mother's resilience. During the day while Lily was at school, Emma would walk through the town, checking notice boards, visiting local businesses, and asking about any potential work. Her pride had long since been replaced by pure necessity. She was willing to do anything: cleaning, babysitting, part-time work, anything that could bring some money home. Her smartphone, an old model gifted by a kind neighbor, became her lifeline. She would spend hours searching online job portals, updating her CV and sending applications. Each click represented hope, each email a potential lifeline. The local community center became her unofficial support network. Though she hadn't found work there, the staff knew her by name. They would offer her a cup of tea, share kind words, and sometimes slip her information about potential job openings. In the evenings, after putting Lily to bed, Emma would sit by the dim lamplight and calculate their expenses. Every pound was accounted for: food, electricity, school supplies. She had become an expert in stretching money, turning small amounts into necessities. Lily's school uniform was always clean, her lunchbox always packed. Emma made sure her daughter never felt the weight of their financial struggles. She would tell Lily stories of hope, of brave women who had overcome challenges, creating a narrative of strength and possibility. Sometimes, late at night, Emma would allow herself a moment of vulnerability. Tears would silently roll down her cheeks as she wondered about her future. But these moments were brief. By dawn, her determination would return, stronger and more resolute. Her community knew her as a quiet fighter. The local shopkeepers would sometimes offer her extra vegetables, understanding her situation without making her feel pitied. An elderly gentleman who ran the corner store would ensure Lily always received a small chocolate, a gesture of kindness that meant more than its monetary value. Emma's dream was simple, yet profound: to provide a stable, loving environment for Lily. She wanted her daughter to have opportunities she herself had missed. Education was her primary focus. Every sacrifice, every difficult decision was made with Lily's future in mind. As winter continued its cold embrace, Emma's spirit remained unbroken. She understood that challenges were temporary, but hope was eternal. Her story was not just about survival, but about the incredible strength of a mother's love. In the quiet of her small cottage, with frost painting patterns on the windows and her daughter sleeping peacefully, Emma Thompson represented countless unsung heroes, women who face adversity with grace, determination, and an unwavering belief in a better tomorrow. The night settled around her, but within Emma burned a light of hope, persistent, warm, and unextinguishable. The rain fell steadily that Wednesday morning, creating a rhythmic pattern against the community center's windows. Richard Harrison watched the droplets race down the glass, his thoughts drifting to the stack of job applications on his desk. As the center's manager, he had seen countless stories of struggle, but something about Emma Thompson's application caught his eye. Her handwriting was neat and careful, each letter formed with precision that spoke of discipline and hope. Unlike many applications that seemed hurried or desperate, Emma's revealed a quiet determination. Richard noticed how she had meticulously listed her skills: textile experience, basic computer knowledge, and a remarkable ability to organize and manage tasks. The community center had been running low on staff. Budget cuts had made hiring difficult, but Richard knew they needed someone who could handle multiple responsibilities. He remembered watching Emma during her previous visits, how she helped other job seekers, how she managed to keep her daughter's clothes neat despite clear financial challenges. That morning, as the rain continued its gentle assault, Richard made a decision. He picked up the phone, his fingers dialing Emma's number with a sense of purpose. When she answered, her voice was hesitant but hopeful. "Mrs. Thompson," he began, "I'd like to offer you a part-time position at the community center." The silence that followed was profound. Emma's breath caught in her throat. A job, a real opportunity. Her mind raced with possibilities: paying bills, buying Lily new shoes, having a sense of stability. The position was modest: part-time administrative work, helping manage community programs, assisting with computer tasks, and supporting local events. But to Emma, it was more than just a job. It was a lifeline. Her first day was a mixture of nervousness and excitement. She dressed carefully, choosing her most professional outfit, a navy blue blouse she had carefully ironed the night before. Lily had hugged her tight that morning, whispering, "You'll be amazing, Mum." Richard showed her around the center, introducing her to other staff members. They saw what he saw: a woman with quiet strength, someone who would become the center's backbone. Emma's organizational skills quickly became apparent. She could manage chaos with a calm efficiency that impressed everyone. The other staff members welcomed her warmly. Margaret, an older volunteer, brought her homemade biscuits during her first week. Tom, who managed community programs, showed her how to use the computer systems with patience and kindness. But it wasn't just about the work. The community center became more than a workplace for Emma. It was a place of hope, of connection. She began to see how her own struggles could help others. When people came in looking lost or defeated, she understood their pain. During lunch breaks, Emma would help organize resources for job seekers. Her own experience of unemployment made her compassionate and practical. She knew exactly what information people needed, how to fill out forms, where to look for opportunities. Lily's life changed too. After-school care at the center meant she was surrounded by kind adults, learning, playing, feeling secure. Emma would collect her in the evenings, her face now brighter, her shoulders less heavy with worry. The small salary made a significant difference. Bills that had seemed impossible now looked manageable. Emma could buy fresh vegetables, repair things that had been broken for months, create a sense of stability that had been missing. Richard watched her transformation with quiet satisfaction. He had seen many staff come and go, but Emma was different. She wasn't just working a job, she was rebuilding her life, one careful step at a time. As weeks passed, Emma became an integral part of the community center. Her story began to inspire others. Single mothers would look at her and see possibility. Job seekers would find hope in her gentle guidance. The rain that had fallen on that initial Wednesday seemed symbolic now. Just as droplets create rivers, small opportunities can transform entire lives. Emma's journey was just beginning, but the first, most difficult step had been taken. In the warmth of the community center, surrounded by people who now saw her strength, Emma Thompson discovered something powerful. That kindness could arrive unexpectedly, changing everything. The computer screen flickered with possibilities as Emma's fingers hovered uncertainly over the keyboard. Technology had always seemed like a complicated language she could never understand, but now it was becoming her ally. Richard had enrolled her in basic computer training courses offered by the community center, recognizing her potential to grow. Each morning before her regular work began, Emma would spend an hour learning. Her first lessons were clumsy, mistyped words, accidental clicks, moments of frustration that made her want to give up. but Lily's encouragement kept her going. "You can do it, Mum," her daughter would say, eyes bright with admiration. The computer. Classes were more than just technical training. They were a gathering of women, each with their own story of struggle and hope. Sarah, a divorced mother of two, was learning graphic design. Margaret, a recent widow, wanted to reconnect with her grandchildren through email. They formed a support network, sharing challenges and celebrating small victories. Emma discovered she was a quick learner. What seemed impossible in the first week became manageable by the second. Spreadsheets that once looked like incomprehensible grids now made sense. She learned to organize community event data, create detailed reports, and manage digital communications for the center. Her confidence grew with each new skill. The woman who had once felt invisible began to see herself differently. During community events, she started helping other women navigate technology, sharing her newly acquired knowledge with patience and warmth. The community center became more than a workplace. It transformed into a classroom of life lessons. Emma learned about grant applications, community outreach, and social support systems. Her world expanded beyond the narrow confines of her previous experiences. Lily noticed the change in her mother. The hesitant woman who once worried constantly was now standing straighter, speaking with more confidence. During school events, Lily would proudly tell her friends about her mum's new skills, her eyes shining with admiration. Richard saw potential in Emma that went beyond administrative work. He encouraged her to take additional training courses, helping her understand community development and social support programs. She began assisting in organizing support groups for single parents, drawing from her own experiences. The women's support group became Emma's unexpected passion. She understood the silent struggles of single mothers, the financial pressures, the emotional challenges, the constant balancing act. Her own journey became a beacon of hope for others. Every Thursday evening, the group would meet. Women would share their stories, some filled with pain, others with hope. Emma learned to listen, to offer practical advice, to create a space of understanding and support. Her own challenges had become a source of strength for others. Computer skills opened new doors. Emma started helping people write professional CVs, navigate online job applications, and understand digital communication. What once seemed like a barrier became her superpower. She could now help others transform their lives, just as she was transforming her own. The community began to see her differently. No longer just a struggling single mother, she was now a respected resource. Local businesses would call the center, asking for her help in managing community connections. Her network grew, her confidence soared. Financially, things were improving. The part-time job, combined with her new skills, meant more stability for her and Lily. They could now afford small luxuries, a new book, a slightly better coat, occasional treats that had once seemed impossible. But the real transformation was internal. Emma discovered her own strength. She realized that learning was a journey, not a destination. Each new skill was a step towards a bigger dream, a better future for herself and her daughter. Lily watched her mother's transformation with wonder. The bedtime stories now included tales of perseverance, of women who learned, grew, and overcame challenges. Emma was no longer just telling these stories, she was living them. As winter turned to spring, Emma stood different. Her hands, once rough from factory work, now moved confidently across computer keyboards. Her eyes, once filled with worry, now sparkled with possibility. She had learned that growth isn't about perfection, but about persistent effort. The community center had become more than a workplace. It was a testament to human potential, to the power of learning, to the incredible journey of a woman who refused to be defined by her circumstances. The meeting room buzzed with nervous energy. Emma stood at the front, her hands slightly trembling but her voice steady. What had started as a small support group for single mothers was now becoming something much bigger, a community movement. Local women began arriving, each carrying their own story of struggle. Some worked multiple jobs, others battled financial challenges, and many felt isolated. Emma understood their pain because she had lived it. Her own journey from unemployment to community leader had taught her that survival wasn't just about individual strength, but collective support. Richard, from the community center, had been her silent supporter. He saw potential where others saw just another struggling single mother. When Emma proposed creating a formal support network, he helped her navigate bureaucratic challenges, providing guidance and resources. The first formal meeting surprised everyone. 20 women arrived, then 30, then 40. They came from different backgrounds: factory workers, shop assistants, young mothers, older women rebuilding their lives. Emma created a safe space where vulnerability was strength, where sharing struggles became a pathway to solutions. Her computer skills became crucial. She created online platforms, Facebook groups, and communication channels that connected these women. Information about job opportunities, childcare support, financial advice, everything became shareable and accessible. Local businesses started noticing. Some began offering part-time work specifically designed for single mothers. Training programs emerged. Emma's network was changing employment dynamics in their small community. Lily watched her mother's transformation with pride. At school, she would tell friends about her mum's community work. The little girl understood that her mother was doing something important, something that helped others. Emma's approach was practical and compassionate. She didn't just offer sympathy, she provided solutions. Workshop sessions on resume writing, computer skills training, negotiation techniques. Everything was designed to empower women. The local council took notice. Officials began inviting Emma to discuss community development strategies. The woman, who once felt invisible, was now helping shape local policies. Her lived experience became her most powerful credential. Financial institutions started offering specialized support programs for single parents, inspired by the network Emma had created. Small grants, flexible loan options, and targeted support emerged. What began as a small support group was now influencing broader social structures. Margaret, an older volunteer, became Emma's mentor. She taught Emma about community organizing, sharing wisdom from decades of social work. Together, they expanded the support network, making it more comprehensive and effective. Emma's own transformation became a powerful narrative. She spoke at local schools, sharing her journey from unemployment to community leader. Young women saw her as a role model, understanding that challenges could be transformed into opportunities. The support group became a lifeline for many. Women found jobs, secured better housing, pursued further education. Some started small businesses, others returned to interrupted educational journeys. Emma had created more than a support network. She had created a movement of hope. Local media began covering their work. A small feature in the regional newspaper turned into multiple stories about community resilience. Emma remained humble, always redirecting attention to the collective effort of the women in her network. Her relationship with Lily grew stronger. The young girl saw her mother not just as a parent, but as a community leader. Dinner conversations were now filled with discussions about social change, community support, and personal growth. Richard watched Emma's journey with quiet pride. The part-time administrative worker had become a community catalyst. He had seen potential in her application, but the reality had far exceeded his expectations. As months passed, the network continued growing. Women who had once felt isolated now had a community. They supported each other through job searches, childcare challenges, emotional struggles. Emma had created a safety net where individual threads of hope were woven into a strong, supportive fabric. The barriers weren't just economic, they were psychological. Emma helped women rediscover their confidence, their skills, their potential. Each success story became inspiration for others. By year's end, what had started as a small support group had transformed into a powerful community movement. Emma stood at its center, not as a leader but as a connector, a catalyst of change. Her journey proved a powerful truth. Individual resilience, when combined with collective support, could transform entire communities. The December morning was crisp and bright, carrying with it the promise of new beginnings. Emma stood in her small cottage, looking different, more confident, more settled. A full-time administrative position at the local council was more than just a job. It was a testament to her incredible journey. Lily, now 6, watched her mother prepare for work. The transformation was remarkable. Gone were the days of constant worry and financial stress. Their tiny cottage, once a symbol of struggle, now felt warm and hopeful. A small Christmas tree stood in the corner, decorated with handmade ornaments, a reminder of their journey. The past year had changed everything. Emma's community network had grown beyond their wildest dreams. What started as a small support group for single mothers had become a powerful community resource. Local businesses now actively sought to support the network, offering training, flexible work options, and mentorship programs. Her work with the council was meaningful. Emma was now part of the community development team, using her lived experience to shape policies that supported struggling families. Her insights were valuable. She understood challenges from the inside, not just as a theoretical concept. Richard, who had first given her a chance at the community center, watched her progress with pride. He had seen countless employees over the years, but Emma's transformation was special. She had taken every opportunity, every small chance, and turned it into something extraordinary. The support network continued to grow. Women who had once felt isolated now had a community. Job opportunities, training programs, emotional support, everything was interconnected. Emma had become more than just a leader. She was a catalyst for change. Financial stability had changed their lives. Lily could now participate in school activities without worry. New books, occasional treats, a sense of security. These were no longer distant dreams. Emma had created a stable foundation for her daughter's future. Her computer skills, once a source of anxiety, were now her strength. She taught digital literacy classes, helping other women navigate the complex world of technology. What had started as a challenging learning experience had become her superpower. The local media had shared her story. A feature in the regional newspaper highlighted her journey from struggling single mother to community leader. But Emma remained humble, always emphasizing the collective effort of the women in her network. Christmas approached, and the cottage felt different. Warmth, hope, and possibility filled the small space. Lily's school performance had improved. She was confident, happy, inspired by her mother's journey. Their conversations were now filled with dreams and possibilities. Emma's mother, who had passed away years ago, would have been proud. The resilience she had instilled in her daughter had blossomed into something beautiful. Emma was not just surviving, she was creating opportunities for others. The support network continued to expand. Women from different backgrounds found connection, support, and hope. Job training, emotional support, practical advice, everything was shared freely. Emma had created a community where individual strengths were celebrated. Local businesses began recognizing the power of their network. Flexible work options, targeted training programs, mentorship opportunities emerged. What had started as a small support group was now influencing employment practices. Lily's bedtime stories were now filled with real-life examples of resilience, stories of women who had overcome challenges, who had transformed their lives through education, support, and determination. Emma was teaching her daughter that struggles were not endpoints, but opportunities for growth. As the year ended, Emma reflected on her journey. From a struggling single mother to a community leader, her path had been anything but straightforward, but every challenge had been a lesson, every setback a stepping stone. The cottage, once a symbol of struggle, was now a home of hope. Photographs of community events, Lily's school achievements, small mementos of their journey decorated the walls. Each item told a story of resilience, of transformation. Richard had been right when he first saw potential in her job application. Emma had become more than an employee. She was a community builder, a source of inspiration, a testament to the power of perseverance. As snow began to fall outside, Emma hugged Lily close. Their journey had been challenging, but they had survived. More than that, they had thrived. Their story was a beacon of hope, a reminder that with support, determination, and love, anything was possible. A new year approached, filled with promise, potential, and endless possibilities.